Welcome back. My name is Chris Sikora, and I'm going to go through exercise 6 inside Creo version 6. What this exercise deals with is actually the two-dimensional detailing. So we're going to take a 3D model that's already built for us, and we're going to make a drawing from it. Similar to what you see here on the screen. It's a bell housing, and we're going to go ahead and make a series of different views to start us off: front, top, section view, auxiliary view, isometric view, detail view. And once we get past the views, then we're getting the second portion is actually annotating it. So adding dimensions, ornate dimensions, moving dimensions, center marks, geometric dimensioning and tolerancing, very brief showing of that, and then adding a note. So let's begin. First of all, you're going to want to download the part file. And so if you go to the Vertani 1, it's V as in Victor, E, R, T as in Tom, A as in Apple, N as in Nancy, U, X as in X-ray, and then 1.com. Go to Part Files, and in the white column, find the Exercise 6 part and click on it, and then just download it. Now it's going to download into your Downloads directory, and from there you could access it. We'll open that up first. So just go to File, Open, and locate that file. And it should look like this. Once you have that, now we're going to go ahead and make the drawing. So go to File, New, select Drawing, and go ahead and label this. I'm going to call it E6, in my case E6B, because I've already done it, as you can see. And you do have the option to use the drawing model file name too. So it's the part is actually called Exercise 6. So we don't want to use that just yet right now, but note that you can do that. Let's hit OK. Now we have the ability to use the existing templates that are listed there, empty with format or empty. We're going to go with empty with format. Now, also, by the way, if we were to have just started a new drawing, we could browse right here for the model that we want to use. So we already had it open, so it already filled it in for us. Now, here you'll see a format. Hit the little browse button and select a format. And there you can see there's some basic or generic formats that you could use for this class. I'm going to go with the A format, hit open, and hit OK. All right, so we have our A size, which is basically 8.5 by 11. We're going to go ahead and start, first of all, inserting the views. The way to do this, and if you could remember this, just go to the general view. Okay, think of the general as the top there. So click on general, and you can just go with the default here or no combined state. It doesn't really matter. Hit OK, and now select where you want the first view to appear. So I'm going to select this lower left quadrant here. And we could see from this list, we're going to double click on front. It gave us isometric, which we really didn't want, but that's all right. We'll go to front. Now, if we didn't like the scale, some might think that you could go in here and change it, and you could. But the better choice would be to change the whole drawing scale initially. Okay, so just be aware that's in there. There's view display. Hit the little arrow to the right of follow environment, and let's go with no hidden. Currently, most drawings are not, all the drawing views are not shaded. So the isometric views, you're starting to see a lot of those are shaded. Actually, been seeing that for well over decades now. So, but for this one, we're going to set to no hidden. And then the tangent edge display style, you could set this, it's like a dim style by default almost. It's a slightly different color. I like going with Phantom just because it really highlights it. As someone who worked out in the shop and used to get drawings, I really liked tangent edges. That's where a fillet or a round blends into another face. And sometimes I'd get these drawings and I'd have to interpret them, and it wasn't always easy seeing or trying to interpret it. So Phantom seems to work pretty well, but it's really a matter of preference. Check with your company that you're working at, which one they prefer. All right, now go ahead and hit apply, and you'll see that the view appears that way. We can hit OK. Now we're going to unfold some additional views here. Let's go to projection view. Click on that. Now you'll see right away, since it's the only drawing on the screen, it starts to project. We can click up to drop that view.
Click on this view again and go to projected view once again and drag this to the right and click. And let's move this. Now mine is movable, yours may not be. Be sure to select lock view movement to actually turn it off if they're not moving. And then that will enable them to move. I'm going to drag this over to the right. And now that I have these two, I'm going to control select both. And you can either double click or you'll find here the little gold ball. Anytime we see the gold ball with the pen, it means that that's for editing. So let's go ahead and edit that. And since they're both selected by holding control, we can now change it. So we could go here to no hidden. And by the way, it says follow environment. I'm going to show you in a little bit where the options menu is for this. So you can set up the environment so it's repeatable every time. At the tangent edge display, let's just go with Phantom once again. Hit OK. And now we can see those drawing views match. Now this next view we want is an isometric view. So go back to General View, hit OK, and just click to drop it up here. And it's already in shaded mode. Now this view, we might want to change the scale. Now you'll notice the scale, you're like, how did it come up with 0.167? Well, built into Creo, there's an algorithm that actually measures the size of the sheet, which in this case is 8.5 by 11, compensated for the actual border, and it wants to figure out how it could fit comfortably inside the drawing 3 standard views, front, top, and right. And so it calculated at 0.167 by judging by the size of the model that we had. Now, let's say if we wanted to customize that a little bit, just for this isometric view, click on it and change it to 0.25 and hit apply, and you'll see it will grow. Go ahead and hit OK. Now, some companies insist that you have that scale on there. For the isometric, where I used to work, we never used to put a scale. We just assumed the isometric wasn't to scale. So with that selected, you'll see this delete option. You could hit the delete key on your keyboard or hit this. We don't need to see that particular one. But if your company or organization wants you to have it on, make sure you leave it on. All right, now to change these all at the same time, right down here, you'll see their scale. It says 1.67. Double click on that. And then up here, let's change it to 0.2 for all of them. And then they get a little bit bigger. Now notice if we click on this view here and then release it and then grab the center point, we could relocate it, making more room. Let's relocate this one a little bit down below. Now we're going to create a section view. Now for section view, there's a couple ways you could create this. I'm going to show you what I perceive as probably the easiest way, and it's not that easy for section views in this, unfortunately. So here's what you do. First of all, you want to turn on your plane display, display. And basically the reason why is because you actually use that plane to slice through. Now we could have actually done this and created the section view in the part file if we wanted to, but we're going to create it here in the drawing. So just remember though, later on to turn off that plane display because it will print out with those planes. And it's very rare that I've ever wanted, the companies I worked at never wanted to see the planes on the drawings. So just be aware. Every once in a while you would for a datum, but we would actually draw them. Okay, so now that we have that, now let's unfold another view from it. So click on the view and go to projected view. Just move it up here and click. Now it's okay that it's shaded. We're going to change that in a moment. Now double click on that view, or you could click on that gold ball with the pen on to edit it. We want to go to sections and find 2D cross section. Hit the plus symbol, and now we're going to go ahead and we're going to hit create new. I already had one from a previous drawing listed in there. And just hit done here. But notice you could go planar or offset. So if you wanted a section offset from that plane, you could select offset. We don't want that here. Just leave it at single, hit done. Now you have to enter a name for it. I'm going to go ahead and name this B, capital B, and hit the green check mark up here. And now you could have that plane, or you can make a datum. It will actually let you do it. So we're going to leave plane as is. And now select this plane right in the center that's horizontal. Click on that. Now hit apply and you'll see it updates it. But now it's not quite right yet for my taste. Go to view display, back to follow environment, change it to no hidden,
And again, you could go with Phantom if you want. Hit apply, and we're looking much better now. Go ahead and hit OK. Now for the section BB, we do want this. Let's just center it. You could actually leave it off center until if you're going to change the text size. But let's go ahead and just move it over a little bit. And remember to turn off your plain display up here too. And now we're getting some. Now it's starting to look pretty good here. All right, let's add a detail view. So find detail view. Now detail views are really easy. Click on detail view. Select this region right here like an edge where we want the center of the region to be identified. And you get a green X. Now go up to above that, directly above that green X, and imagine we want to make a circle. Now we're going to start at 12 o'clock hour, like directly above that. And then we're going to go to 9 o'clock, 6 o'clock, 3 o'clock. So click here. Click here. This is 9 o'clock, 6 o'clock, 3 o'clock. Now you don't have to go all the way around. Now just take your middle wheel and push it down one time. All right, and it should create a circle. Now move your pointer over here and click, and it should drop your detail view. Now if you want, you can move the detail view or leave it, because what you'll see here in a moment, let's move this down, make a little bit more room, is that we're going to change the text style for our dimensions. Because on an A-size sheet, this is a decent text size, but we need a little bit more room, so we're going to change that. Now the options for this, you go to File, and it's not in the typical options area. Okay, what you're looking for is actually prepare drawing properties. Now under detail options, hit change, and this is it. This is where everything we might want to change is located. So we can see the very first thing, text height. Okay, we have it set to 0.1562. Click on that, and then down below here, change the value, and let's change it to 0.062. So we're going to make it really small for this drawing. And hit Add Change. Now notice there's lots of options in here. We're not going to go through them all, but if you're looking for something specific, you'll probably find it in here, and that's how you make the change to it. And you see everything from arrowhead styles to control dimensions, trailing zeros, clip dimensions. It's all in there. You could go ahead and hit OK, and then hit Close. And now zoom in and out. You can see now our text is much smaller, much more manageable for this size sheet. May not look great though when you print it out. It's going to be very tiny. All right, but I just wanted to show you that. Now another area you'll see text style. This does change it too, but I wanted to show you where you can change it in a global location right there. Okay, and to change it globally, what you can do is you could actually, before anything's open, go in there and alter it. Okay, now let's take a look at adding some dimensions here. Let's zoom up to this front view that we have here. Now, actually, let's zoom up to this one instead. Now, adding dimensions, as you know, in Creo is very different than most softwares. Like typically, if we want a height dimension from this bottom to the top inside the model, we would just go into the dimension tool, select those two edges, and then we middle click. Now, it's a little bit more complicated here. There's one extra step that we have to do in order to get those dimensions here. So let's go, first of all, find annotate. Annotate is where you're going to find annotations. Dimensions are included in annotations. Go to the dimension tool. Go over here, and first of all, here's a filter if you want to filter out specifics. But let's just keep it as is. Click on this bottom edge. Now you might be getting a little message. Just ignore that message down below here. Now here's the trick. You have to hold Control for the next edge and get up here, and I'm going to zoom up. There it is. I'm going to click, holding Control. There we go. Now zoom out. And notice, again, you're going to have to middle click like we've learned previously. And that adds the dimension. Okay, so just to reiterate what was required there, we go to the Dimension tool under the Annotations tab, select the first edge, and then hold Control and select the next edge. And then from there, you have to locate where you want it and then middle click. Let's take another look, and this is a really nice technique. Remember in the very first day of class, I talked about laying your dimensions out, how you might like to see them if it were for a drawing. Well, the reason why is what you're about to see here. Well, there's two reasons. Remember, I told you one reason was so that it's just easy to read on the model, but also so you could transfer those over to print. And here's how those work. How to retrieve those dimensions. You go to Show Model Annotations. Now over here, just keep that up. Now let's say we want the dimensions from this feature. Now the dimensions from the feature have to be planar to the view that you're selecting in order to see them properly. So just be aware, I drew these on the front plane, and it was a revolve feature. I'm going to click here, and there we have the dimensions that will appear. Now, you could check on and off these dimensions to show them, or you just select them here, and this is the easier way. Actually, just select the dimensions. Now, they turn a dark purple, and that is an indicator that you're going to keep those. And these are actually dimensions from the model, and they're going to be a different color than the reference dimension that we added there. These values can actually be changed. Okay, and then these ones are radius dimensions, which we're not going to use for the next view, but drop those two in. But note that you could select any feature and they're all going to drop in. It's really quite nice. And I didn't really have to move them. They're somewhat in position already, or you can make them in position. Now this 34 degrees, actually it's dimensioning to the inside here. That you might not want that there. That might be better suited up here. Before we move it though, let's bring up the center mark. So click on this view here, and we go to Model Items. Notice there's no center mark tool. Now, we get a whole bunch of dimensions here. Now, be aware we're not interested in those ones for this particular view, but you could if you wanted them. Instead, go to this Model Datums. And now we can see the center marks. Go ahead and select the ones that you want. And then hit OK. All right, so that's how to get those. Let's try that again. Click on this view, go to Show Model Items, and remember it's that Datum tab. And let's select the ones we want. We could actually just, if we want them all, just check them all. And hit OK. Oh, we missed one. Let's go back there. I have to scroll down, I'm sure. Oh, that's strange. Oh, here, this is select all. Okay, hit apply. All right. Okay, so now that we have those, what we're going to do is we're going to look at another type of dimension. Let's bring in ornate dimensions. Go ahead and select ornate dimensions. Now, I really like specifying vertical or horizontal, depending upon what you're adding. We're going to add the horizontal dimension, so select that. Zoom up here. Now what you do is you go ahead and you could select this. All right, and you see the little arrows up here. Now hold Control and grab every subsequent one. Okay, that's not what I wanted. I grabbed an edge there. Here we go. Okay, let's get this one. And let's have it select our center marks. There we go. Okay, it's not doing what I wanted. Just a second here. Let me cancel out of here. Let's retry that one. I was selecting the wrong ones. I don't use ornate dimensions on this one all that often. All right, so we have that. Let's go to horizontal. Oh, it's really one or the other, I suppose. Okay. Let's get this to work earlier, not certain why. Okay, that's intersection, that's why. Okay. There we go. All right, let's first specify the Z. And then, there we go. And I'm holding Control, by the way, as I do this. And now we can drag those to the left, click, middle click to release them. Okay, so in this case, just go over here to the select a reference. All right, let's add a note. So the note tool, you'll hit the little arrow here. You'll see there's unattached notes. There's notes with leaders, offsets, and things like that. I'm going to go to note, and I'm just going to drop an unattached note here and call it exercise 6. Now, if I want to change that note, I could. There's style and height and font. You'll see here I could change it to a different color. I can make it bold. I could even center, justify, and change the height. Let's say we want to change it to 0.2. There we go. Okay, the next thing we do, and also in the options menu that we went to earlier, you could set the font as well in the prepare drawing properties. The font is in there too. You'll see text style here, and you'd be able to you could select the whole drawing and hit OK, and then specify the style, the text, the font. Like let's say we wanted to go with Omega Italics. Hit apply and hit OK. And there we go. Okay, now you make sure you hit OK there. Oh, cancel, actually, cancel. Now to relocate those, you can center that. All right, you also have hyperlinks, so you could add hyperlinks to your notes, making them intelligent. So if you had let's say you were using Bayer brand ABS plastic and you had a note that said ABS plastic, you could actually put the note in and go ahead and use the hyperlink tool. And that was on the note actually too. All right, let's look at getting this up here because this would be better suited up on that top view. So here's what you do. You click on it, and then right here you'll see that's to flip the arrows, but here's what we want to move to view. Select the view you want to move it to, and there it is now. It's now moved, and you can drag that in. And now there's drag handles, and these drag handles, they've enlarged them. They're really nice and easy now to get. So if you need to move those. Let's do the drag handles again over here. Just get near the end of it, and you can drag these off. And then also, if we click on this, like if you want the arrows inside or out, this one we don't want to flip the arrows, but you see what happens if we do. Okay, now it's, oops. There we go. Flip them again. Notice this dimension can be changed if I double click. That's because those are intelligent dimensions. They were added from the actual model. So you got to be careful with that. But this is where one of the engineering firms that I worked for, the manager, actually the owner of the company, wanted us to add as many of the dimensions in to the drawings like in this fashion. As many as we can. You can't add them all like this, but quite a bit you can because they're taken directly from the model. And that was so if he ever got a call from a customer, and let's say I was gone, he could go in just to the drawing, find the dimension, and because changes always occur. They say, hey, you need to thicken that. Could you make that a 1/2 inch? He could go in, type it in, update it. It'll update the drawing. It'll update the models. So very powerful functionality, but you have to be careful. You don't want everyone going in there having access change those. And there's options for the ability to adjust that so that doesn't happen with PLM vaulting and such. Okay, so let's look again how to add a dimension one more way. And I've showed this to you before. Let's say we want a diameter dimension, and I always think this is kind of neat. You double click for a diameter, you drag it out, middle click, and then middle click a couple times. Click on that, and we want the arrows out. There we go. Now radius, let's say you wanted a radius, it's just a single click. Brilliant. I really like how they do that. Let's look at geometric tolerances. Now, Creo for a while now has had probably the most robust GD&T functionality in industry. Now, I haven't looked over some of the others. There's add-in packages that probably do a lot of the same things, but with Creo's GD&T, if I recall correctly, it was semi-intelligent. And I don't know how far they've taken it. It's been a while since I've had discussions with someone who's used it on a regular basis. But I know about less than a decade ago, it was probably the most robust of them all. So it's not just a note. There's actually ties to it. So as far as parametrics. Okay, one thing I want to do here is add actually an auxiliary view. I forgot to do that. Let's go to Layout for Views, find Auxiliary View, select this edge right here, and just click to drop that auxiliary view there. And let's double click on it and change the view display. And we're going to go No Hidden, hit OK. Now, let's say we want to put concentricity GD&T on there. And I'm not an expert at GD&T, by the way. I'm just showing you so you can use it. Those of you who do this on a day-to-day basis will far better at this than I am. So geometric tolerancing. Let's say I'm going to select this edge right here, drop that down, the middle click, and you'll see, look at this, it brings up like the geometric symbols. So let's say go with concentricity, tolerances, all sorts of composite frames, symbols, additional text. There's a lot here. It's very robust. Most systems out there, I believe, are non-parametric. This has some parametrics built into it, which is pretty impressive. So I'm going to go ahead and click off that, middle click a couple times to exit that. So basically with that, you're able to add GD&T, there's surface finish symbols, there's datum targets, datum feature symbols, all sorts of neat things in here to tinker with, and I encourage you to play with them and see how they work. This is an introductory class. I don't go through everything. If there's something specific, I would recommend Googling it, or actually looking up another video. There's lots of videos out there that are great from other people who go into all the details on how to add certain things on this. Again, this is just enough to show you how to make a simple drawing. And that pretty much finishes that exercise. Now, if you're looking in the training guide, let's get back to our instructional manual here. There is a lab that goes along with this. Okay. All right, now I'm going to download this so I can rotate it. It's PDF, and now I could just go to that page again. And here is your, what you're going to need to do. Let's hit rotate a couple times there. Okay, so here's the drawing. You see it's 6 inches in height, 0.25 kind of thickness, 3 inches in between there, 0.25, zigzags across. There's parallel lines. There's some cutouts here. Let's go ahead and build that. Okay, and then we need to make the drawing from it. So new, part, and this is going to be L6. I'm going to go ahead and select the front plane, go to extrude. I'm going to draw one of the lines across here just so that we have scale. And that's going to be 2.5. And let's hit the refit. Okay, and we can zoom out. Now we can build the rest of this. So go to the line tool. I'm going to go off this edge here, up about there, and stay away from the equal symbols in some cases here. Be really careful. Bring this up like that. Now this, we could make it equal, although the preview isn't showing me what it's making it equal to. Oh, it is. I want that bottom line. Technically, it is supposed to be equal to that bottom line, so that's probably not a bad idea to select that one. Drag this down, click, drag this across, and I'm not sure if those are going to be equal, so I'm not going to make them equal. I can't remember on this drawing. And then I'm just going to go back down there. Now this needs to be vertical. So I'm going to click on that, make it vertical. Okay, now we're looking good. Here's the overall height. That needs to be 6. And let's look at some of the other details here that we have. So we see it's 3 inches, but notice it's gray. That's when it's a gray dimension, it's a reference dimension. You may not need to put that in depending upon how you dimension this and with what dimensions you use. So we have 6, 2.75 at that corner, 1.75. So let's do it like the print shows. So right here, oops, actually that one doesn't belong. Let's hit undo. We'll do this one first. This is 1.75. And then from this to this corner is going to be 2.75. At least I think that's what it was. Let's go back. Let's see. That is. Okay. And then we'll go ahead and put this in, which was 3. Okay, now it didn't like that. So somewhere it's not, does not like what we just tried to do there. The angle is the problem. So let's add that angle in first. So notice how I just dragged that along a little bit to see what was wrong, especially when you type in a value and it doesn't plug in the new one. So 45 degrees. So from here to here, that needs to be 45. Now it's saying that that's going to be a problem. So we're going to go ahead and need to delete. We'll delete this dimension here for right now and put in 45. Okay. And then let's fix these. That was 1.75, 45 degrees. We made those equal. And again, depending upon how you build this, I've never made those two equal, even though they both are technically. Oh, 3.5 across. So let's get from here to here. Okay. It is 3.5, so we don't need that one. So let's delete that. 1.75, 2. It still looks a little bit high. Let's see if the 3 came through. Maybe that equal wasn't the smartest thing for me to do just yet, but let's see. Okay, it doesn't like that either. Oh, I have an equal there. Ah, that's what it is. I didn't want that. That was an accident. Okay, we got that at 3. And that may actually be it. Let's see, just want to verify. Yeah. The numbers given. Looks like we got it. All right. So we could have gone with this length or that length. Either one is fine. Now I'm going to hit us OK. Let's go mid-plane. And you would think I would be better at doing this. I do this maybe once every couple of years. These were models I made, so my bad. I should have practiced it that time. So we see it's 4 inches across here. So I'm going to go mid-plane, 4 inches, hit apply. Now the fillets, you'll see the typical is a 1/2 inch. So 1, 2, 3, 4. So let's go to the round tool, and they're 0.5, 1, 2, 3, 4. And then the chamfer is 45 degrees at 0.2. So let's go to chamfer and set it to 45 degrees, 0.2. Select this edge right here. There we go. All right, now it gets shelled out. So let's go to the shell command. And the shell is 0.05 typical wall thickness. So let's go to shell, 0.05, 1, hold control, 2, 3, 4. Okay. All right, now we have to put those cutouts in there. So select this face, go to extrude, and we'll use a parallelogram for that. Let's see, parallelogram. Go ahead and click right about there, drag this horizontal, and then at an angle like so. Let's add the dimensions to locate the base first to this edge. And if we look at the print, that's 0.25. Okay, now the detail here. It's 0.25 for height and 1.5 theoretical sharp corner. So
Let's see, right there, we can use that, 0.25. And then let's get a dimension from corner to corner, and then go straight up here in middle, click. And let's verify that again. That was 1.5. So whenever you see TSC, that stands for theoretical sharp corner. All right, and we can see there's some additional dimensions here. Let's see why we have that. 1.5, 0.6, over 45 degrees. So go to dimension. You could actually put it in here if you like, from here to here, 45. Okay, and then we have the location, and it's located 1 inch off the top edge. So select this top edge here to the top edge of the model, and 1 inch. All right, we have it located. We can put in the sketch fillets at this point, and it should leave the virtual sharps there, and the fillets are 0.06. So go to sketch, fillet here, and we're just going to use circular. Click from here to here, that one. And finally this one. Okay, we're going to make 1.06, and then we want to make the rest of those equal. And here's how. We could go to equal, select that fillet there, that fillet, and that one, and that one. Okay, now it lost our locator right there, and the height became weak, so let's change that. Let's middle click a couple times. And it'll be 0.25. So sometimes when you add geometry like that, it's going to do some interesting things. And this one, we want to go off the virtual sharp. So let's see, that was supposed to be 0.25 right off that virtual sharp. So let's add that in. So from here to here, 0.25. Okay, so we've located it. Middle click a couple times. Maybe lay the dimensions out a little bit easier. Oh, and this one changed too, so 1.5. All right, we're in good shape now. Everything is ready. We're going to go ahead and hit OK. We're going to flip that direction, and we want it to go through all. Hit OK. And from here, we just pattern it. So see how it's still highlighted in green? Let's go to Pattern, and we want a directional pattern. We can use this vertex right here. And these are, if I recall correctly, are 0.4 spaced. And we need 6. And let's just verify that. So we see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 0.4 pattern. Okay. And we could go ahead and do a file, save as, backup. And it's already L6. We just, perfect. It's dropping in the place we want it. Now we want to make a drawing from that. So we could go now to New, Drawing, and we'll go ahead and call this the L6. Okay. Empty with format, browse, select A. I think you could have probably left it on A there, but I'm uncertain. Maybe not. Make sure you put that in. Hit OK. All right. And if you remember, the very first view, General View, hit OK. Click right here. Let's go to Front and go to View Display and No Hidden. OK. And it's a quarter scale. Yeah, that should be fine. Let's go to Projected View, drag one there, Projected View. That's going to be Section View there. Click here, Projected View top, and then the Detail View we're going to need. So go to Detail, and right about there, click, and let's zoom up. So
12 o'clock, 9 o'clock, 6 o'clock, 3 o'clock, middle click, and click to drop it. Let's get that up there. All right, and let's get these views changed over. So select them, holding control, go to the gold ball, and let's go with no hidden. Okay. And let's bring in one more general view, hit OK, click to drop it, that's isometric. Let's go to scale, let's change this one to 0.5. It's a little big, but we'll stick with it. And we don't need this, so let's just delete that. It's too big. Now, normally you don't do 0.375, but let's just do it. Okay. All right, now this needs to be a section view. So we click on that, go to Edit, or we could double click on it, go to Sections, 2D cross section. And you know, I forgot to put in the section view arrows. Forgot to show that. You'll see that now. So in my video earlier, forgot that. My apologies. Hit the plus symbol. Just hit Done. We'll type in capital A here. Hit the green check. And now we have to select the plane. Now don't forget, you have to turn the plane on. Select the middle of that. Oops. There we go. Kind of hard to find. I had to kind of get it over there. And let's see, we hit apply. And when we hold it, did it. You can see the little section there. All right. And hit OK. Now here's how to get the arrows, but let's get rid of this plane first. Okay, now to get the arrows, select the view, go to arrows, and then click on the view it belongs into, or belongs in. So click here, arrows, and there. And so my apologies. Let's go back to that drawing really quick here to show you how that's done here. So I needed a section right there. So again, select the section view, go to layout, arrows, select the view the arrows belong, and then you can actually squeeze these in if they're too big. You just grab the arrowhead tip. Now this too needs an arrow typically, so you can select that, arrows, and there they are. Now where I worked, we didn't leave this name view on. Let's move this out here. And so what you can do, you could right click and hide arrow text. Now it's interesting, I clicked on this one and it hid the other one. Okay. All right, now I'm going to go back to that other drawing. You can move those if you need to. Let's look at adding the dimensions now. So if you remember, we could add them manually. And remember, you'll hardly ever be able to just pop them all in automatically. You're going to have to do a little bit of work. But let's go back to annotate. And we're going to go to show model annotations, select the surface. And we see a lot of those dimensions that we need to appear. They're rather large, remember. We're going to leave all those in there. So I'm just going to select all and hit OK. Now I need to get those smaller. Now you could go to text style and change them right here, or let's go back to the prepare drawing properties, change, and text height, click in there. Down here then, change it to 0.062. Let's see, is there anything else we might want to change that were in here that I could think of? I think we're good. All right. Yeah, I think we're pretty good here. Let's go ahead and just hit OK and close. And then zoom in and out, and then they should appear better. Now you can see here, these might need to be moved in a little bit better. And spread these out so they're not overlapping. Let's flip the arrowhead here. or the text, I should say, not the arrowhead. Okay, that might not be preferable the way that was, but let's have these out here. We could drop it in. Let's see if this will look better if we flip the arrows. Maybe we could do the same with here. It's a little tight. A little on the tight side. You could go into the options, change the size of those arrows. Now, for this area here, let's see if we could capture that and select the edge. And it did it. Okay. Leave them all there. Hit OK. Well, they're all selected, so click off it. We just want one at a time. One at a time. Oh, drat. It actually went to the centers. It didn't take the TSC, the theoretical sharp corner. Okay, so we would have to compensate for that for the 60 thousandths on either side. Or we could go back and try and fix it. I'm not going to bother to try and fix it just right now. Bring that out. Try and get this out of the way. Remember the little ball? There it is. All right. This one, it's an incomplete because it's off the top edge. That probably is better suited on this view. So remember, we could right click on it and there's move right here. Select this view to drop it in. Yeah, we'll just drop it right there for right now. Get those off that edge. And then this one, again, we're not seeing theoretical sharp corner, but we could move that if we wanted, or leave it there for right now. For some reason, yeah, it wasn't coming up the way I'd expected, but anyhow, let's put our note in there. It's bold, and we can change the font. I'm going to go with Mega Bold Italics. Oops, you got to select the whole thing. Let's try that again. Font. Change the height to 0.125. Okay, and again, there's so much to this drawing package. It could do virtually anything. There's things I've skipped over, but again, it's just to try and keep it simple. This is a basics class. If you want something more advanced, there's some great videos out there from others. Even PTC has phenomenal training. So that concludes the section. Oh, wait, printing it. Let's print. Now, here's the thing. You can go to File, Print, and there's the print, the ActiveOct. Now, from here, sometimes I've noticed the print preview or something doesn't come out quite right. What I sometimes recommend doing, if you're having difficulty printing it out, is to actually save as quick export PDF. And this makes it much more compatible with virtually any printer out there. And then you just basically print from the PDF file. Okay. And this is how my students, those of you taking the class, when you turn in your work, PDFs are preferable. Okay, that concludes this exercise.